We got some early estimate sales numbers for the Xbox Series consoles as well as for the PlayStation 5. And as everyone has expected, the sales numbers are looking good for both. So let's jump into it. The PlayStation 5 has shipped 4.5 million units in 2020, which matches the PS4's launch. Sony announces during their Sony's Q3 fiscal year 2020 results, which is a great result for PlayStation and for Sony. And before we get into this any further, if you guys are new here and you like what you see throughout this video, you think it's entertaining and informative, I really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to join this community, help this channel grow, and we can have great conversations in the comments below. Now, this result really isn't a surprise to anybody. It is something that everyone expected, as the PlayStation 5 has been extremely hard to get. It's been sold out everywhere, and this goes the same for the Xbox Series consoles. The difference between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series consoles is that Microsoft doesn't really report how many units they have sold, so people were interested in what this could mean. Ryan McCaffrey asking here on Twitter, I wonder what the Xbox Series XS numbers is so far, not as a console war thing, but because at this point it's literally like how many have Sony and Microsoft made thing, since every console made from both companies is being sold. And that's a really great point. These sales numbers, at least right now, just depend on how many each company can manufacture, and the company that manufactures less, manufactures at a slower pace, are going to sell less consoles, because you literally can't find these anywhere right now. They are sold out everywhere. But Daniel Ahmad, an industry analyst here, says that take a bit over 1 million off of the PS5 numbers and you won't be far off. So he's suggesting that the Xbox Series consoles have shipped and sold about 3.5 million units. And then this person asks about the manufacturing, why they're able to manufacture more. And Daniel Ahmad just says that Microsoft started manufacturing later than Sony, and this is one of the many issues that both companies are facing in regards to component supply, logistic issues, etc. So all in all, to sum up, what the current sales numbers of these next generation consoles within 2020 were successful for what they were able to manufacture and produce. For the Xbox Series in general, I mean, they're pretty much on par with what they did with the Xbox One in its first year on the market in 2013 when it released. And they shipped about 3.08 million units. This graph here on Statista says so. If they're about 3.5, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less than that, then they're right on where they were with the Xbox One. But I don't think that this trend of sales for the Xbox Series consoles is going to even come close to being nearly the same as what the Xbox One is. I think the Xbox Series console is going to sell very, very good, both the X and the S. And I think it's going to highly surpass the amount of units that the Xbox One sold. I mean, you just look at the demand for these consoles right now. If Microsoft were to manufacture and ship 1 million units magically tomorrow, they would probably sell out of all of them, and that goes the same with the PlayStation 5. So these sales numbers, yeah, sure, they're interesting to look at. They don't really mean anything for the success of these consoles going forward. It just comes up to how much they can manufacture. And then when you look at Xbox and you look at their sales, you look at their strategy, the big thing for them, like I've said this in many videos, a lot of people like to debate this and talk about it, but it's their subscription services. How many subscribers can they get onto Xbox Game Pass, whether that is through an Xbox Series console or whether that is through the PC or through xCloud and stuff like that? Because you look at the units that they manufacture, they're taking a loss on every unit they manufacture. In fact, even with Sony here, with their report when they came out, they said that losses recurring from strategic price points for the PS5 hardware that were set lower than manufacturing costs. So they're taking a loss on every single PlayStation 5 console that they sell, and they make back that money through PlayStation Plus, through PlayStation Now, through software sales, stuff like that. So that's the big thing that they look forward to. Obviously, getting the units into people's homes allows them to get access to that for some people, but for others, with Xbox at least, they have access to those services through the PC and through Android and stuff like that. So I think that's the big units that Xbox is going to be focusing on this generation, is they're going to be looking at that subscription service. However, I don't think that the sales of the Xbox Series are going to be worse than the Xbox One. With the price point of the Xbox Series S specifically, with the fact that you're getting games that can play at 60 frames per second, even if they are at 1080p or at 1440p, I think that's a big selling point for people. A big selling point for people that will want the Xbox Series S as a secondary console, or they don't have a 4K display, they play on a monitor or something. think it's a great option. And I think having those two price points is really going to help the overall sales of the Xbox Series console. And then the Xbox Series X, I mean, they are going to manufacture a lot of those, and I think those will sell out as well. I think right now, the Series S is being manufactured a little bit less than the Series X. In fact, Phil Spencer actually said this in an interview with The Verge a while ago, saying that for now, you'll likely see more Series X devices available over the next year than the Series S. While the Xbox Series S is positioned as the entry point, Spencer has revealed Microsoft is still currently manufacturing more Series X consoles than Series S to keep up with demand. Then he goes on to say that we built more Series X's than we did Series S's. I think we can go into spring and summer. We'll probably moderate that a bit. Over the long run, in most cases, price wins out. And you've seen that with many console generations, is that as the console generation goes on, there's always price reductions. There's the slim versions, there's bundles and everything, and the lower price with the best value is going to be the console that generally sells more. And I agree, I think that the Series S in the long run is going to sell more than the Series X, but as of right now, the Series X is being manufactured and pushed out more because it's the people that want to get the cutting edge console technology that are going to be buying up these consoles within the first year. And in this interview as well, he reiterates the point that they did start manufacturing late for the Xbox console, saying we started manufacturing late summer. We were a little bit later than the competition because we were waiting for some specific AMD technology in our chip. We were a little bit behind where they were, where Sony was in terms of building units. And for me personally, I'm completely okay with that because they waited for that full RDNA 2 architecture into their chip, and that's why they waited to manufacture these consoles, and it's going to pay off in the long run for the Xbox Series consoles. So these sales numbers, they're great, interesting talking points in terms of how many units people sell if they want to just determine and debate which one's going to sell more. But at the end of the day, I think it really doesn't mean very much, especially in this generation going forward. And I think both consoles are going to sell extremely well. Now, what else is an interesting point is that in the UK last month, the Xbox Series S and X were the best-selling consoles, and that's 3 different best-selling consoles in the UK over the last 3 months. So November was for the PS5, December was for the Switch, and now January was for the Xbox Series X and S. And a lot of people are just attributing this to, again, supply and demand, that the Xbox was able to manufacture more for the UK than the PS5 and the Nintendo Switch in January. But overall, I mean, that's pretty impressive, especially because it still was able to outsell the Nintendo Switch, which I also am hearing that was in low supply in the UK. But the Nintendo Switch, I mean, sells like hotcakes absolutely everywhere. So these sales numbers are going to be interesting to look at going forward into this life cycle. Yeah, overall, this generation is going to be all about manufacturing, and the more they can get into stores, the more people are going to buy them up. And going to be interesting to see what their overall sales numbers are at the end of 2021, at the end of 2022, especially because Xbox has pretty much said that they're going to have issues getting these consoles ready available until June. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Do you think these sales numbers really mean anything? Do you think it's all up to the amount that can be manufactured and get into stores? And do you think the Xbox Series X and S will be creeping up on the Xbox 360 in terms of sales numbers at the end of its life cycle? Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you are new here and you liked what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow. Join this community. We can have great conversations in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.